Hello guys, and welcome to my new video, and today I'm going to be doing a dedicated video for Mistweaver Monk because honestly it is one of the healers that I've been having the most fun in season 3. There's multiple reasons, or we'll talk about the multiple reasons why I'm enjoying this healer. Again, this is a subjective video. I'll talk about some of the weaknesses of Mistweaver Monk, I'll talk about some of the positive things about Monk, and let me know how you feel, or if you're playing Mistweaver Monk right now, let me know the reasons why you're enjoying, or maybe why you're not enjoying your Monk. Let me know, and let's get started with the video. Again, this is the HPS chart for raids. We're going to talk about the performance of Mistweaver Monk, how many people are playing, is it getting popular, and in raid situations, or the patch 10.2 could almost be regarded as the patch for Mistweaver Monk, because Monk has climbed immensely in terms of community perception. And like, if you're looking at the number of passes right now, there's a lot more players who are picking up Mistweaver Monk versus previous patches. In previous patches, Monk was one of the least played healers. Very few people were playing Monks. It was a meme and things like that. The community was very small in terms of how many people were doing competitive keys, how many people were doing competitive raids, and that has kind of flipped on its head in 10.2. You're seeing a lot more Mistweaver Monks. This is the HPS charts for Mythic version of the new raid, and you can see that the HPS of Mistweaver Monk is really quite high. It's so high right now that a lot of people are calling for nerfs, and Blizzard has actually openly announced that they're going to be doing further buffs and nerfs in the next coming weeks. I hope Mistweaver Monk is not going to get nerfed, because let's be honest, Monk doesn't really rise to the top all that often in World of Warcraft. It's one of those classes that gets kind of left behind. I have no objections about Monk doing this well in this patch, because like I said, Monk is not the most favorite class for Blizzard if you look at the historical information. So am I having fun with Monk? I'm actually playing a lot of Mistweaver Monk right now. For the people who've watched my previous videos about my main in Season 3, I'm playing Holy Paladin. I'm playing Holy Paladin because the guild doesn't have a Holy Paladin, and there's multiple reasons why Holy Paladin is included in these high-end Mythic raids, and I volunteered to play Holy Paladin because no one played this. But anytime that I'm not raiding, anytime that I'm not playing my Holy Paladin, I'm playing my Mistweaver Monk. I've been doing so many keys with Mistweaver. I've been trying to gear up my Mistweaver. I've been having an absolute blast. And even though this should be the culmination of the video in terms of the most fun healer, I genuinely can tell you that I'm having the most fun with Mistweaver Monk. And that is mainly to do with the fact that in Mythic Plus content, you have the Phalanx Stomp build, you have the Ancient Teachings build, you're doing damage, and it actually feels like your damage is healing people. I'm so surprised about the power of Blackout Kick. If you have Ancient Concordance buff, which basically you get from standing in Phalanx Stomp, and if you're facing multiple enemies, Blackout Kick can strike multiple enemies with the Ancient Concordance, and it can do a bunch of healing. And there is a lot of things about Mistweaver Monk that screams a melee healer done really right. I feel there's so many good things that happen to Mistweaver Monk in patch 10.2. You got tankiness of the class, I feel, increased. Depending on which build you're running, you can have multiple defensives. On top of that, you have Expel Harm, which again, it is on GCD, but it can do so much healing. And again, you feel, in my opinion, you feel safer than you did before. Your throughput is really high in terms of HPS. Your throughput is higher in terms of damage as well, because they buffed a lot of your damaging abilities in the last couple of weeks before or prior to Season 3. So Mistweaver Monk in Mythic Plus content especially, I've been doing so many keys out there, and honestly, I'm having an absolute blast. I'm loving that Phalanx Stomp build. I'm loving that Ancient Teachings build. I'm loving the fact that if you're doing a Bursting Week, which again, we had Bursting Week, Shaylun's Gift is absolutely insanely wildly good. I absolutely love that you have so many different buttons as Mistweaver Monk to deal with different situations. And on top of that, if you get to pick up your tier set bonus, it feels so good. And I forgot to mention that Essence Font is back, and I'm trying to remember the last time Essence Font was actually usable for Mistweaver Monks, and it's been a long time. But the fact that Essence Font is usable and viable, and you can really prepare for AoE damage or AoE healing and things like that. There's multiple ways to optimize it. I find that really fun as well. Another button that can help you out when dealing with different kind of damage patterns. And on top of that, you have this mini game with Mana Tea. Mana Tea, initially when they reworked Mana Tea, I wasn't 100% sure about this, but I've definitely come around to love this ability because it does have a bit of a skill ceiling attached to it. So you have to remember, Mana Tea not only gives you mana back, but it also provides you with a buff that reduces the mana cost of your abilities, and that buff is going to last depending on how long you're going to channel the ability. And for example, you might be looking to cast something like Essence Font. You might ask yourself, do I have Mana Tea buff? Because if I have the Mana Tea buff, it's going to reduce the mana cost of Essence Font, and Essence Font is quite expensive. You can do the same kind of thing in something like raid environments when you're getting ready to do that ramp with something like HEALER on Unclouded Focus. you can look at something like how I'm gonna squeeze in or work in my mana tea here. Do I have some of the stacks? And this kind of mini game creates, it kind of builds on top of that gameplay, because Mistweaver Monk has a lot of these little intricate ways of optimizing your HPS or your throughput, and Mana Tea kind of works into it really well. In Mythic Plus content, Phalanx Stomp, Ancient Teachings, Shanel's Gift is insanely powerful. There's multiple different ways of optimizing your Mistweaver Monk, on top of being more tanky and your throughput being really high, and on top of that, the tier set being really nice. And in raids, you might be running a build that feels very different to your Mythic Plus type of gameplay. In raids, a very popular build involves Clouded Focus, involves something like HEALER. This is going to be considered like a 1-minute ramp window build, which requires a decent amount of setup. It requires, again, hard casting, which means that if you have to move, you need to make sure that you're going to reduce the amount of movement you need to do. You need to make sure that you have a couple of things done before you're going to start ramping. You need to make sure you have Renewing Mist out there. You might be using something like Shanel's Gift in order to get the Lessons buff. You might be using Mana Tea in order to, again, reduce your mana consumption. And then you're going to go into your ramp, which means you're going to be hardcasting Enveloping Mist. You also want to make sure you're standing close to the boss or anyone in order to use your Rising Sun Kick to extend the HOTS because of Rising Mist. And then you go into your Soothing Mist ramp. And as you can see, this requires a decent amount of setup. You need to use a couple abilities before doing your ramp, and while you're ramping, you want to make sure that you're going to minimize the amount of movement in order to maximize the amount of casts you can do. There is a lot of things that you can fail here, and on top of that, there's a couple of other builds that I've seen floating around depending on the bosses you're doing. I've seen builds with Ancient Teachings, Phalanx Stomp, and HEALER, which is a different variation, and it requires a bit of a different gameplay in order to maximize its HPS, which can also be interesting. So as you can see, there are multiple builds. There are 2 builds in raid situations, and in Mythic Plus, the most popular build is Phalanx Stomp, Ancient Teachings, which I've been playing, and honestly, I've been having a really good time. And in terms of the summary for Mistweaver Monk, I've been having an absolute blast. I think it is a melee healer done really right, because your healing through damage feels actually impactful, especially in that Mythic Plus content where you're running that Phalanx Stomp, Ancient Teachings build, and your DPS abilities, they move bars. It feels really nice. For example, if you do have that 2-set bonus, you're applying Renewing Mist on someone, you're getting Chi Harmony buff on them, and then you have an instant cast Vivify, that's going to move bars. For example, you have 10 stacks of bursting and everyone's about to die and you don't have revival, Shanel's Gift is going to save your party in Mythic Plus. There's multiple different reasons why I've been non-stop playing Mistweaver Monk. I honestly cannot put down Mistweaver Monk. For me, based on my personal experiences, I think it is the most fun healer right now, and the fact that I can be doing like 5 or 10 Mythic Plus in a row, and then I'm like, I'm a little bit exhausted, I want to try something different. I can go and sign up for something like a Pug Raid, and then swap my builds to something like Yulon and something like Clouded Focus, and have an almost completely different experience of healing. It feels like I'm playing multiple different specs, and honestly, I've been having an absolute blast. I just hope, again, there's a lot of people talking about the HPS, there's a lot of people talking about the throughput of Mistweaver Monk, there's a lot of people talking about the possibility of a nerf. I really hope Mistweaver Monk is not going to be nerfed, because it's been a long time since Monk has been in such a good position. I think the gameplay is really nice. The only things that I would ask for, and I've been saying this for honestly months, I would love that if you play that Ancient Teachings build, that some of your melee abilities will have an increased range, because there are bosses, there are trash bags, there are abilities that happen to you both in Raid and Mythic Plus, again, depending on which build you're running. But there are moments where you just cannot stay in melee, you cannot hit the boss, and having an extra range would be such a big quality of life improvement that wouldn't make the class overpowered. It would just make it more fun to play. And I've been saying this for months and months. It's actually really kind of ironic to see that Holy Paladin, or Paladins in general, have a range increase in their talents. And Holy Paladin this season feels like it's the least dependent on being in melee. And I think that's a pretty interesting comparison. So overall, when you look at the multiple different builds available to Mistweaver Monk, both in Raid and Mythic Plus, they're very different. And in terms of for anyone new who's coming to play this game, Mistweaver Monk can be somewhat difficult to pick up, because generally melee healers can be a little bit awkward for new players, because again, there's frontals, there's a lot of things you need to avoid. If you can't hit the mobs, it can be really annoying depending on which build you're playing. And again, the Yulon build, the Clouded Focus build in raid situations, if you have to move, if you can't stand still, if you can't hardcast, it can be extremely punishing. And there's quite a few bosses in the new raid that requires a lot of movement, but I do think there's other builds to kind of help with that. So if you're someone new and if you're looking to play Mistweaver Monk, just be aware of the fact that it is somewhat difficult to do really well, or it can be difficult to pick up for the first time, but I can guarantee you, if you try Mistweaver Monk, you're probably going to be telling yourself, why have I not played this healer before? Why did I not give this healer more chances? Because it is so fun, and I'm telling you, it's going to surprise you. The only thing that I'm a little bit scared about is that people are calling for nerfs. I really don't want that. I really don't want people to nerf it. I really feel that Mistweaver is in a... Again, let's have Season 3 be a Mistweaver season. It's not like that Mistweaver is by far ahead of everyone else, that you're going to stack Mistweavers both in raids and Mythic Plus, or it's the only healer that you want to invite. It's not that kind of levels of OP. There's still other healers that are still doing really well. But let me know how you feel about this. Let me know which healer you're playing right now. How are you enjoying Mistweaver Monk? Do you think Mistweaver Monk is a little bit too OP? Do you think Mistweaver Monk is going to be changed? Do you think they're going to nerf them? Do you think they should stay the same? How do you like that Phalanx Stomp build? How do you like that Yulon or Clouded Focus build in Raid? Do you like the differentiation between the two? And are you playing Mistweaver Monk? And also, let me know how you feel about that tier set bonus, because I've been having a blast. I've been running with the 2-set bonus. My Mistweaver is an alt. I cannot spend as much time as I would like on Mistweaver, but once I get the 4-set bonus, I'm really looking at checking out some of the crazy interactions that you can really have with that tier set bonus. Let me know how you feel about this. If you like this video, like and subscribe, and let me know which next healer I should cover in this kind of should you play format.